Greetings, folks. Ian McDonald here. I'm going to talk a little bit today about pistols. And first, let me tell you a little bit about where I come from when it comes to pistols. My very first purchased firearm was, in fact, a Smith & Wesson Model 27. Now, when it comes to double-action revolvers, I think that the Smith Model 27 is probably arguably the finest revolver ever made. I say that with some experience. I carried it for several years as a duty weapon in uniform, and I rate it on a 1 to 10 scale. I put it right up there at about a 9. I don't see how you could make it much better. And in fact, compared with the Colt Python, which has a lot of followers, I'm going to make some people mad here, but I think the Smith Model 27 is a far superior revolver than that of the Python. So anyway, I began my pistol career with a Model 27, carried it as a duty weapon because it was what was acceptable at that time. Law enforcement did not carry automatics. They were in the revolver era. And however, I've always been a die-hard 1911 guy. I love the 1911. I think it's probably, arguably, the finest pistol ever made. As an engineer, I've always felt that you can determine the quality of a design by its longevity. And the Browning 1911 is still the pistol that almost all others are judged by. You look at any modern semi-automatic pistol, and it steals design characteristics from the 1911. The captured slide, they've evolved away from the hammer towards the striker-fired pistols of today. However, the 1911 is still, in my opinion, is one of the finest weapons ever made. However, it is a single-action semi-automatic, and it makes it a little bit more of a challenge to carry. However, if you're carrying it as a duty weapon, cocked, locked, safety on, strapped in a holster, that sort of thing, I think it can be a very safe weapon. Now, in the 1990s, I evolved over to the Glock. I was never really a happy Glock customer, to be honest. The particular Glock that I had was a Model 23 40 cal, and to me, the trigger pull on the Glock Model 23 was like dragging a trigger through sand. I hated it. It is a reliable weapon, though. It will fire when you pull the trigger, and that's quite often what's the most important feature. I did eventually evolve in the 2000s over to a Springfield XD45, one of the nicer striker-fired pistols of today. As a duty weapon, I think it is a superior design, and I would recommend it to anybody. However, recently, my needs have been again evolving, and I no longer need to carry a weapon as a duty weapon. I no longer need to carry it exposed to the elements, and I am more in a concealed carry mode now. And as you can see, the pistol that I have purchased after considerable thought, a lot of investigation, a lot of reviews, personal reviews and recommendations from friends of mine who also are, I have chosen the Smith & Wesson M&P Shield 9mm. It was a little difficult for me to initially do this. I am not a 9mm person. I've always been a 45 cal guy, again from my days with a 1911. I'm just a believer in the brute force of a 45 caliber round. 9mm, even 40 cals, hope to expand to what a 45 starts at in diameter. And when it comes to using deadly force, it's what kind of trauma that round can create when it impacts its intended target. I always viewed 9mm based on ball ammunition studies, which showed that it tended to over-penetrate a bit, and it would quite often, it could go through 2 or 3 walls before it actually ended up stopping. Especially with construction of most modern apartments today, I saw this as a potential problem. 45s were known for not over-penetrating, so again, that was one of the reasons that I was always a 45 guy. However, with concealed carry in mind, my thinking has evolved over time, and the 9mm in some of these rounds that are available today in these critical duty 135 grain plus P rounds, these are real man stoppers, and they don't tend to over penetrate. They're designed to expand. They're designed to expand quite efficiently, actually. So I have made this change to 9mm. We'll see how that goes over time. The Smith & Wesson Shield, M&P Shield, is the weapon that I have chosen to carry, largely because I have these very large hands with sausage fingers, and my finger length does not really allow for me to reach adequately around some double-stack magazines. And I really love the feel of this Smith & Wesson M&P Shield. It fits in my hand like a glove. It feels in my hand like a 1911 does, for example. It feels as part of me. When I pick this up, my hand is immediately in the firing position. I don't have to move the gun around in my hand to position it. And to me, that's very critical. Now, so I've kind of come full circle, as I mentioned. Started with the Smith & Wesson Model 27. I moved away from it in later years, and here I am back at the Smith & Wesson. And to me, one of the reasons that I went away from Smith & Wesson in the early automatic years, because I felt to me the early Smith semi-autos were clunky. They didn't feel good to me in my hand. Again, a lot of it has to do with my hand type. The Smith Shield is quality on the level of the Smith Model 27. It's a very well-made pistol. The fit, finish, the tolerances are just amazing. Now, to be quite honest, I have not fired this pistol yet. I have only deboxed it, done some of the initial things that I do when I purchase a new weapon. I go through it and make sure that it's going to be a reliable gun. And the next phase of it is I've purchased some ammunition, some regular old ball ammunition, along with a few of the rounds that I intend on carrying. And we're going to go test it out and see how well it shoots. The reviews that I've had, the recommendations that I've had, show that this is going to be quite a shooter. I will follow up again later on and see where we go with my recommendations after I've fired it some. But so far, I've got to say, Smith & Wesson, you've got a home run here. I can see this being my primary weapon for years to come. If I ever find a need to carry a duty weapon again, I think that I would seriously examine the Smith & Wesson M&P line in the full-size version. If this shield is any indication, I would say that it's quite a superior weapon. Good job, Smith. I'm very happy to be back with you again, back carrying an American-made semi-automatic pistol. I really like it. I'm going to rate it a 5 stars. I will say this, though, Smith & Wesson. I really do miss the wood box. It really made it a nice presentation package, and a true heirloom to be cherished by generations to come. Ian McDonald here, the Crazy Scotsman. Goodbye.